I'm gonna start this pod off on a serious note. So, I've been there was something I struggled with about 3-4 months ago, and it went down a very downward spiral. And I know I need to stop because it was really starting to become detrimental. My body was starting to become more reliant on it, and ever since I've been off it, I've been way better. But they say, you start the new year each year with living in the past. You do something, you do the worst thing you did last year one time, just to remind yourself how bad it can be. So you set the tone for everything's going to be uphill. If you start from the bottom, hopefully by May you're here. And I relapsed. Yes. I'm having a ghost energy drink. Sour watermelon. Remember when I used to give you guys free fucking shout outs? Well, here you go again. Little celebration. I've been on a weight loss journey. And I am down to 227. And part of one of the underrated factors was I got off of some of these bad boys. But other stuff too. Yeah, down to 227. So how I celebrated today? I ate Taco Bell and Dollar Scoop in the same meal. Yeah, I went all in like gold, right, Drake? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it, cap it off. Warhead Ghost Sour Watermelon. Yeah, you know what? You work hard, you lose 20 pounds in essentially 3 months. Legit 20 pounds, and I haven't even really tried for the past month. It's just kind of been easy going. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, I relapsed. I'm back on the ghost. Obviously, it's just a celebratory thing. I have good grasp on it. See, you guys thought I relapsed on alcohol or some shit. Nah, bitch. But welcome to episode 98 of the Off and Beat podcast. I'm your host, Clint. This episode is going to be a little bit better than last time because, goddamn, I forgot how much juice these ghosts give you. Woo, woo, woo. I got energy. Got a lot of energy. Got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy. Try to take the energy from yeah. So, yeah. So, curtains, right? Nothing like when you go to the gym. So if you ever gone to a Planet Fitness, I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast before. I'm 97 plus episodes in now, so I probably have talked about it. If you've ever gone to a big commercialized gym in the middle of the day, like a Planet Fitness or a LA Fitness, I've never been to LA Fitness, but I know people that have been to LA Fitness. I know people that take pics on the IG on LA Fitness. Jesus, sounds like I'm on speed right now, but I'm on that ghost speed. I'm on that ghost riding speed because I did not write much today, but I tried. Sometimes you have those days. Sometimes you're like, go fuck myself. It's cool. Talk about pen to the sheets. Casper the ghost shit. But if you ever gone to one of those big commercialized gyms, the Planet Fitness, the ones that, it's always either only $10 a month or you pay like $45. There's no there's no middle class for gyms. Gyms are either like $5 to $10 or it's 35 plus. There's no hey, 20 a month. Sounds reasonable for the size of our gym. Some gyms just have this fucking ego to their pricing where we're going to charge you $35 a month, which actually really is not a bad deal when you really break it down. But it'll be the ones with the biggest audacity would be the ones with dirty fucking machines. The one where the trainer that's there during their fucking shift doesn't really do anything. They just sit on their laptop or sit on their computer and see if anyone has, glanced or jaywalked into the fucking gym. Has this person been opening the door at 2 a.m. to let someone because there was a sensor that went off and it's just like, oh no, he just, just takes a while to get in. But yeah. But I really feel like at this rate, I think like 2 years from now, the regular price for gyms are going to be like $60 a fucking month. And honestly, they can do it because people, it doesn't dictate where you fucking go or not. But anyways, let me get back to the fucking point. Commercialized gyms where they have the showers and the big locker rooms. You know, you get those really old dudes that just kind of walk around nude at 2 p.m. It's cool. Not that anyone's looking. It's just right when you walk in, like, all right, I'm going to go in, go to one of those lockers, get my shit down. You know, maybe you have your shorts on. Maybe you just have pants on. You take them off on shorts. Cool. Typical locker room shit. And then they'll just be that 60, 70-year-old dude just going around on Nugenics. There's no in between. Like, there's no 60-year-olds and 70-year-old dudes with normal bodies anymore. They either look like Chris Hemsworth, or they look like Betty White. Rest in peace. But yeah, no in between. They look like Danny DeVito, or they look like Joe Rogan. Which is funny that now people say Joe Rogan's gaining weight. It's like, yeah, the dude's almost 60 fucking years old. That's what's supposed to happen. But anyways, yeah. There's this thing about commercialized gyms where right when you enter the locker room, it's always on the TV. It's always the same pop stars. It's always Dua Lipa. It's always Halsey. It's always like Maren Morris. It's always like 2012 Rihanna with some DJ. It's crazy how these DJs make a shitload of money just for making the instrumental, and they have a big pop star or a big singer on the record, and they get like tens of millions and billions of streams for just something that they put a sick beat on. Hashtag one kiss, Calvin Harris and Dua Lipa. One kiss is all it takes. If that doesn't get you going on the treadmill, I don't know what does. I will say, those are like the best, the DJ with the pop, like the Avicii's, rest in peace, or Calvin Harris, or the DJ Snakes, the Major Lasers, those type of producers that just make sick instrumentals, and they just have the DJ Khaled type of formula, except their songs actually have like decent lyrics, and DJ Khaled's beats are actually, I'm going to say DJ Khaled's beats and producer, highly overrated. Hasn't really made a great album, in my opinion, or really songs I've gave a fuck about in a long time. The last song I gave about was, I'm so hood, I put my pants below my waist. You know what that was? That was like 2009. Now he does just anytime he could throw Chance the Rapper and Justin Bieber and Quavo. I know that's like one song, but it's not actually pretty much every time he features. Like, if a song needs 4 or more artists on it, it's probably not good. The only songs I can think of off the top of my head that have 3 or more or 4 or more that's actually fucking decent, they're quote unquote supposed to be remixes, most of them, are the What's Poppin' remix with The Baby, Jack Harlow, Lil Wayne, and Tory Lanez. And then there's like Forever with Drake, Kanye, Eminem, and Lil Wayne. Notice how Lil Wayne's a common theme in these, just saying. Man, I mean nothing to y'all. By the way, still haven't seen the LeBron documentary. You'd think I would have, but I haven't. It's cool, though. Life is more than a game. Oh, Cleveland. Oh, hot in Cleveland. Rest in peace, Betty White, again. But yeah. There was like 3 like old people, like there was a former Celtics player that died on New Year's. I think it was Sam Jones. Then there's Betty White, and there was like a few others that died in past. I wonder if there's this weird thing in the body, or maybe if they're like already like on, and they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna start if they were on like a deathbed or they were on like hospice care or whatever. And there's like, I wonder if it was like really for some of them, like, we could drag this on 4 months, or we can just start the new year and start clean. Not to sound insensitive, but I really think like maybe for the families, like, they're like, hey, you know what? Just start this new year with fresh start. Like, I don't know what goes through the process when you have like a loved one that's like on a deathbed like that. Like, I don't know how that works, but I don't know. But she was almost 100. I think she was like a month or 2 away from being 100. So maybe she wanted to I'm pretty sure she wanted to push it to 100. But Sometimes the body and the Lord says no mas. Speaking of Taco Bell killing you. But yeah. So I was actually having a conversation with a coworker yesterday. I'm not going to out them. Well, it's not really outing because they didn't say anything bad. But we were talking about creepiness in a workplace and how they were talking to me how what a lot of dudes don't understand at work is that, there could be very, I don't even want to say aggressive male nature where it's constant badgering and this and that, but where it's like this constant, I guess guys have this assumption that just because a girl's laughing along and playing along, just play along, and they're just laughing along to make work, because, you don't want to come to work and make it uncomfortable, even though someone's making you uncomfortable, which is pretty ironic. It's like, well, hey, you didn't have to fuck up the vibe. It's like, you kind of fucked it up when you fucked up the vibe. It made it uncomfortable. But then you're going to blame the other person that you made it uncomfortable to begin with, who they were just trying to let it go and keep going, and you just kept it going. But they were basically describing, which is something I kind of already, had a good pulse of in general, is that a lot of dudes in workplaces don't realize just because a girl's, joking off your advances, not even advances, but, just letting certain things go, never going to HR for certain type of harassment or playing type of things. And you just said, dudes just in general don't understand that vibe type of thing. Don't understand, just because someone at work is playing along and just ha-ha-haing, because they're doing it because they don't want to make it uncomfortable. And for the most part, they go to HR shit and nothing's going to really happen, at least in their favor type of thing. And then it just makes work, and then you start getting treated different and all that shit, and then you start being outcast, being treated different, even though you were already kind of being treated different, I guess. And then ironically, so today, as I said, I was at Taco Bell, right? I was in the drive-thru, and the line was moving pretty steady, right? Don't worry, I'm going to get to a point here. I'm not going to talk about being trapped in the drive-thru again. Oh, Jesus. Talk about a crunch. I don't even know what pun I was going to make there, but I did with the supreme of chalupa confidence. Oh, that one. You need to top it off with some mildly bad humor. But yeah, drop it like it's hot. By the way, I miss the whole little Taco Bell Chihuahua dog, but I guess that's probably some cultural appropriation thing. Remember they used to have a little Taco Bell, and they had the little dog that has the accent and everything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not I don't even think they market that dog, not even in commercials, and then just ring the bell. And but yeah, but so was in line, the line was moving, and I was the next car from the person who was at the window, right? And they were taking a very long time at the window. And I was in no rush. I wasn't mad or nothing. But I was starting I was legit the second I got behind them, it was 6 minutes behind. I'm all right, this is a little weird. It's all right, maybe they have a big fucking order, which I know they didn't have a big order because I was behind them and I eavesdropped on the people's orders before me. Because I rolled down the window to be all right, have it ready. Because I have this weird phobia that when I'm in a drive-thru, my window is going to get stuck. So I make sure it works before I even get there. Because what if I get up there and my window doesn't work? Or I have a weird phobia of or not phobia, but weird fear of I'm in the drive-thru. Now drive-thrus, they have closed off where basically once you get to a certain point, you're trapped. There's no driving off and escaping. They're going to trap you into these borders. And you are going to sit here for 28 minutes if you fucking have to, because you don't have a fucking choice. Which, by the way, is a great business model. If you're feeling uncomfortable and you want to leave in your emergency, fuck you. You're going to wait for your cheesy gordita crunch. Or you're going to wait till all these cars and burst out. But yeah. So I was waiting behind for about 6 or 7 minutes. And then I get it. And finally, I know they didn't have a big order because I heard their order. They had 3 beefy melts and like fucking one like $2 item. I don't fucking know. Half of their fucking $1, $2 items, they're all the fucking same. Burrito Supreme, 7-layer Supreme. Like, it's all the same. It's just beef and cheese and rice. You can order the same item 3 times in a row, and you will get 3 completely different burritos on 3 complete separate days. Like, if you get one of those craving boxes, I'm having a Taco Bell, like, breakdown right here. If you get one of those, like, deluxe boxes, and it comes with one of those, like, whack-ass 7-layer burritos, like, one time, it'll be a big-ass thick, full of beef, cheese, rice, tomatoes, lettuce, and the next time you get it, it's some skimpy fucking with, like, a drizzle of fucking rice and, like, some beans and just, like, some, like, assortment bullshit that wasn't on there before. And, like, each time is something different, but fine. Cool. But anyways, back to, I was like, all right, this take a little long, whatever, you know. So I get to the window, and I overhear the girl at the window talking to the other people, like, oh my God, that guy just wouldn't fucking leave. And I'm overhearing, and she's like, hey, so you told us gonna be blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I hand him the card. And I overhear him talking like, hey. And I hear them talking, and the one girl's like starting to get like, she was annoyed at what just happened. She wasn't yelling at her coworker. She was like yelling about this guy just fucking, he's fucked up her times. He fucked up this shit. He just fucked up like the whole operation and all this shit. Which, you know what? I don't blame her. I'd be a little mad too. I get it. So then when she gave me back the car, I was like, hey, what happened? She's like, the dude asked for her number and said, it's like, hey, he's like, you should give me your number or whatever. It's like, all right. And she's like, no, thank you. And he's like, come on, you know, playing along, whatever. She politely said no again. And then he's like, well, I'm not leaving this drive-thru until you give me my number. Which I'm like, people think, oh, that's cute power move. That's assertiveness. It's like, nah, man, you're fucking me from getting my fucking grilled cheese burrito. That's not cool. Like, there's a time and place. If you want to do that, go inside. You don't fuck up people's drive-thru. It's not a power move. But beside the point, not even going to get into the psychology of that, right? And she was like just a really nice girl. Like, she was grateful. Like, grateful. She was very greeting. It sounded like I was about to say great. She was grateful. She was very greetingful. And I was like, and the second she said it, she's like, and she said eventually he drove off after, like, basically they had like a bunch of other people come to the window and be like, hey man, you gotta fucking go. Like, we can't have you. And then he stormed, because I noticed when he drove off, the dude stormed off. Like, he like carred that shit. Like Lightning McQueen. And boy, he was sure looking for lightning in a bottle, because he's a little McQueen boy. And all I could think about was she told me that. It was like, it's so weird how, like, something that literally you talked with someone yesterday about when you're in a work environment, you were like literally, in her case, she was dealing with the customer, but like, you know, in some jobs, you're just dealing with like coworkers, depending on the operation, how it works. But in her situation, she's dealing with customers. So it's like even more weird, because when you're dealing with customers, you have to be polite. And because, you know, there's this whole customers, right? Customer, treat the customer no matter what. It's like, but there's no like boundaries for like, hey, like, hey man, you guys, but, you know, being rejected a couple times, like, cool, you want to be persistent. But you know what? Go inside and be persistent. You're holding up my fucking grilled cheese burrito with my fucking Chipotle chicken grilled, whatever fucking that Fiesta $2 burrito is. And my chicken Chipotle melt. You're fucking that up for me, my friend. So yeah, it's a little bit different. But on seriously, like, when people are in a work environment or they're in uniform, they already feel like they have to act a certain way. They already feel like they gotta like really be buttoned up. They can't really like, they have to suppress certain emotions when they're feeling it. They have to always be put on their best face. They gotta, regardless what's happening personally, you're just supposed to go there and be a robot, do whatever. We get it. Do your job and all that shit. But then when people know, it's like when people want to be all extra aggressive towards you. Like when someone wants to be extra mad at an employee for fucking up their drink or fucking up their food, right? And they want to throw a scene. And they get extra aggressive because they know that person's going to act accordingly or otherwise they could take the pride. They could take the pride and be like, hey, I'll fucking get you fired. Which is always weird to me when a customer says, I'm going to get you fucking fired. I want to be, it's like, I don't want to be in charge of that. I would never, I may say you should be fired, like, depending on what the fuck happened, if it ever got to that point. But I would never, like, go out of my way, call all these fucking people, and be on their ass about it until this person's fired. Like, you're not a fucking, like, hiring manager. You're not in charge of that shit. You file your complaint, you get your free shit, you get your money back, and you get the fuck out. Alright? It's like, if you're at work, and I was talking about this with a coworker too, by the way. I've always found it weird when someone gets hurt on the job, like they, like, get seriously hurt on the job, like, slip and fall, they fall off a ladder, fall down, like, collapse their knee in half, whatever the fuck. That got graphic. And it's some where workers' comp is responsible, right? Or they sue the company. It's not even workers' comp because, like, all right, we see we fucked up. We're going to give you workers' comp, pay for whatever when you're out, and when you're ready to come back openly. Like, that's a different situation where shit happens at work. There's a respect between the employee and all that shit. But when, like, some off the weird shit where it's very iffy of who's right and who's wrong, and then you kind of sue and go to court and all that shit, and then the employee wins a lawsuit where, like, let's say they win $90,000 in damages for hospital bills plus the grief plus the inconveniency. They win $90,000 for being out of work for 6 months. And then they're just like, all right, I'll see you guys in June. It's like, wait, what? It's like, it's like, even though that employee is right, like, that's the kind of weird, like, it's like I was talking about earlier where you could go back to work, but it's not going to be the same. Like, even if you're not at fault, like, it's kind of weird because do you just go back to a job where a lot of fuck shit just happened, right? And accidents happen. That's not what I'm saying, but, like, you just, like, took $90,000 from this company. You expect them to be like, hey, thank you for coming back. We are so happy to have you here. Nah, man, they're going to be like, you took fucking $90,000 from us from a technicality that was kind of 10% your fault. So, you know what? We're going to make sure we're on your ass all the time and make you, it's not going to be the same. We're going to be on your ass, all these extra protocols and safety, you better make sure you're wearing your slip-resistant shoes, my friend, because we're going to be on your ass about that. But yeah, going back to the thing, like, it's this weird thing where, like, I just think people in general, when people are in uniform at work, I'm not saying don't have real conversation, don't ask, that's not what I'm saying. But, like, don't make it to the point where it gets so ultra uncomfortable, and don't think just because someone's being nice to you in return, and they're just kind of trying to let things go, and they're put in a very compromising position because they can't react like a normal person would react. But like, hey, I told you no, go fuck yourself. They can't really say that, otherwise you go, oh, that's what you think? Oh, you rude ass fucking cunt, you ugly ass bitch, I don't want none of you anyways. It's like, well, then why'd you ask her out? But it's cool. It's always like when someone asks you out and you're like, I'm not really into it. Like, well, you know what? You ugly anyways. It's like, well, then I guess your standards were low from the get-go. That's why you can't afford insurance. Guess I'm a liability. Still overcharge you, though. But yeah. But that's such a, and that's not just a guy and girl thing. Like, it really depends on your, like, place in the workplace, your true like position of power. Like when I worked at a quote unquote back in the day, back in my youth, back in the young whippersnapper. But when I worked at a McDonald's, I wouldn't say I was harassed, because honestly, it didn't bother me. And honestly, a good portion of the time, I kind of laughed and I enjoyed it. So I was consenting to the nonsense. It was a pretty nasty workplace. And I don't mean like, just the, sexual tension in the air. I mean like legitimately, like there was just fucking grime. There was fucking nasty ass dust all over the place. There was box dust. Like it was a pretty disgusting place. And stuff will happen in the dumpster for 3 hours at a time with random managers and random employees. And while me and the good employees would be stuck in there just whipping up burgers and McChickens and frappes and shakes and drinks, people would be in the dumpster area. Let's just say Jess was getting dumped on. Wow, I shouldn't have name dropped. But you know what? There's a lot of Jesses out there. There was a few. They won't know who it is. But yeah, talk about making my way downtown, walking fast, being a whore, because that's who you are now. Dun, 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 dun. But yeah, those damn white chicks. White chicks are whores. But yeah, but that is kind of weird though. This is kind of like this little bit. White chicks, like in the moment in 2004 when it came out, no one even like thought about, it was not even a thought of controversy. It was not even a thought of like, is this right? Is this uncomfortable to watch? It was just odd and it was just funny as hell. You could like literally, you could make the same movie. Like let's say that movie never happened, right? And they made that same exact movie today. And it came out today, 18 years later, right? Make that same exact movie, same way, same characters, same everything. It would be like this whole, it would probably be like very similar to controversy with the movie The Interview, but not with North Korean shit. But it would just be like, oh, certain theaters won't have it this because it's, well, I don't know, maybe different because it's more of someone dressed up as a white woman. But if it was reversed, I don't think that would play out well for a lot of reasons. But it's just fascinating how really nothing has changed in how we are as people, but it just seems like if it were to be released today, people would get mad over it for no fucking reason. Because, it's guys imitating girls and all this shit. It's making fun of transgender. It's like, nah, because they're clearly just dressed up in costumes and heavy makeup for undercover. Like, they're not pretending. It's not like was it Joanna Man type of thing? I never actually saw the movie, but I read the description where basically it's like a dude he dresses up as a girl basketball player because he gets kicked out of one college or some weird shit. And then he falls in love with another girl while he's dressed up as a girl type of shit. But it just seems like something about that wouldn't sit right with a lot of people. And the worst part is we would have missed out on a cult classic type of comedy. Because objectively, that movie is still fucking funny. I can remember the opening scene, the shootout in the fucking gas station where they have the shootout with the Indian guys and whatever the fuck. And it was just funny. But just the perception of what it is and the blatancy of someone dressed up as a white woman or a man dressed up making fun of white women, I felt like that wouldn't sit well on Twitter or anywhere, to be honest. And I think even like I've seen recent like past years where it's like, it's like white chicks is more problematic, but it's more problematic than people want to make it. But I'll just leave it at that. It's like, all right, well then just leave it at that because it's like 16 years ago. I feel like statute of limitations have a little bit gone past that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird time. Woo! Speaking of being sexually harassed in the workplace. So, James Franco. I was watching a video. Well, not even. Apparently, he did an interview on a Sirius XM show type of thing. I watched some clips of it. So, no, I'm not taking anything out of context, but I watched full clips of stuff, right? It's kind of like, I don't care. I mean, it's his situation. He could talk about whenever he wants. I just don't understand. It's like, well, dude, it's been 4 years now. Like, there's really no point talking about it now. You might as well just, like, let it, like, not let it go because, you know, whatever. But you just kind of, like, if you didn't talk about it within 3 years of after all the shit, 2 years after all the shit came out, right? I understand, like, giving it time before you speak, make sure, you know, you let things settle down. But it's like, okay, if you're waiting for lawsuits to settle down and all that shit, then once the lawsuits settle, you don't really need to speak on it. And then if there's no lawsuit settled and you're worried about incriminating yourself, then don't speak. But then if everything's settled, then what do you need to speak on it for? But apparently he had a class, let's just say. He had a quote-unquote acting course or whatever you could say called, I'm not making this up, a sex scene class. Where I guess it's not, of course, you know, try to make it some deeper philosophical thing where it's like, it's actually really, you know, he referenced like a 90s sitcom where something called The Chair and how it was actually about something with, you know, where it had impersonation of when you have like the female teacher that, you know, boys would fantasize being with or guys would fantasize being with, like the hot teacher. Hot for teacher. I'm hot for teacher. Let's just say James Franco took that title into his own hands and said, come here and be hot for teacher. But just jump at the chance. He took I Can't Stop Loving You to a whole new meaning. But yeah, apparently he was the teacher of a quote unquote sex scene class, but of course his real, like, he's like, well, what it really is, it should have been called what was it? It was like some bullshit generic quote unquote deeper above the surface level type of class. Really, shit, what the fuck did he call it? I don't know. He called it just like some basically monetary generic bullshit where it's like, all right, man, we know what you, we know whatever, fine. But so he was a teacher of this class where basically it's teaching, I guess, how to do romantic scenes. It's not specific to sex scenes, supposedly, but more of just how to portray a romantic scene on screen. It was like, okay, I'm not an actor. I don't really know how a lot of this specific shit goes. You know that most sex scenes are not real in movies. And, you know, there is an art of making it look real without it being real. Respect between whatever. I don't know. But, you know, he basically admitted it through explaining to the dude as he's struggling to really say what he's trying. He's like, I admit I made some missteps when I slept with my students. And he was like, and I was talking to all the other teachers. They're like, yeah, you know, that's probably not it's not really recommended. It's not legal technically because most people in your classes are of age and stuff. And the most important aspect of it all is that all of it was consensual. So it's like, what are we talking about here? Except when it comes to the fact that anytime you're in an authoritarian position and you're in charge of, I don't really think they pass people or nothing in that classes. I'm going to assume it's just like, great job, which I don't know. It's like, I'm pretty sure he was always a quote unquote supporting actor in their scenes they recreated. Kind of like the Disaster Artist. But it was just interesting listening to him talk about it because I recommend you go see it. I recommend you go check it out on YouTube. But he just really, it was like, dude, like, as you could tell, like, when someone's speaking And the host asked a simple question. He's like, so did you ever like think like, this is just kind of weird? He just asked, you never thought like this was a little odd? And he's just sitting there looking up. He's like sitting there finding his words, moving lips around. Like it seems like he's trying to think of the right thing to say instead of just saying what's there. And that's where I'm like, if you still are thinking about what you should say, then just you don't have to go out and talk about it. But in his defense, a lot of his friends, like Seth Rogen doesn't want to, he basically came out and said a while ago, like, he can't work with him anymore. He can't look at him saying all this stuff. And people are saying he's betraying him. I don't think, I feel like I don't feel like you got to defend your friends through everything. That doesn't mean you have to be out here and shame them, but I'm also not a believer that no matter what your friend does, you have to be there by their sides. I would say in this case, it's different for the simple fact that he technically was never charged with anything, and I'm not caping for, and you know me, I'm not the one that capes for, oh, well, he wasn't charged, and people all of a sudden become legal experts when it's convenient, but then ignore legal when it's not convenient. But even in this case, it's like, it wasn't even like charged, it was just people speaking out on weird behaviors, him in class, like, taking advantage of that, but then they consented to the sex, so it's like, all right, like, I don't know what to make. It's like, yeah, this is a weird situation of a dude in power who these girls know has a big influence in what they're trying to do. And it's kind of weird that he's like, yeah, we had these very specific masterclass courses, and I'm going to teach the quote-unquote sex scene class. It's like, there's not that many in movies. I mean, there are in plenty of movies, but they're not like 12-minute scenes that like you really need to go deep delve. I feel like that's something you can learn on the job. I feel like there's a lot of other factors that are more important to becoming a good actor or actress or better at your craft than come take a sex scene class or a romantic class with James Franco. I don't think that's really I don't know. But again, I'm not for Seth Rogen because of what he basically told. This is old news, like probably a month ago, where he basically told YouTuber Casey Neistat that like, hey, all my shit got broken in my car, and he's like, Seth was like, bruh, you're in LA, what are you complaining about? It's like, if you're living in LA, you have a lot of money, which means you're good, dude. It's not that big of a deal. It's just your car getting broken into. He's like, my car's been broken in 25 times. It's not a big deal. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, it is a big deal. Just because someone is of lower income class doesn't give them the right to just break into your vehicle, for one. It's just not right to break into someone's vehicle in general. And if it's happened to you 25 times, may I recommend locking your fucking car? Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Lock your fucking car. Like, that means, like, yeah, there's tactics of breaking the cars without breaking windows, but I feel like you would start taking measures after, like, the third time you got robbed. And he tried to sit there and be, it's not a big deal you get robbed. It's like, oh, okay. Not a big deal. I mean, the grand scheme of things in life, you get your car broken into. It's not the biggest deal in life, but goddamn, it's a big fucking nuisance, especially if you have shit that's important in there. But, I don't know, man. But, people have this weird thing where it's like, no matter what, they feel like being a good friend just means that no matter what you do, no matter what you go through, I am obligated to support and be by your side no matter what. I think for the most part that should be in place. And I think actually in this case, it's kind of 50-50. I think this isn't one of those things you go out and just completely fucking shit on him for, because there's not really evidence per se. It's accusations that he's admitted to, so that's something. But he was never charged or nothing, so it's like weird that, you don't become so blatant about it. But I understand the point of like, yeah, I don't really want to work with someone like that if I have a choice. That's okay. Like, I don't think continuing like nothing happened is necessary after something that makes you question who your friend is or the character of who you associate yourself with. I don't think that makes you a bad person. I actually think that makes you like, yeah, you know what? It's not about being the moral high ground police, but it's also about you are who you can't say you are who you voluntarily associate with. Like, I can't control who my coworkers are. I can't control who people I walk around a Walmart in that proximity, but I can choose the people who are my friends. I can choose the people who I voluntarily hang around in proximity in places I go to where these people are typically at. That is a choice. And you are who you attach yourself and who you are best friends with. You are who you are around with the most. Like, once you're made aware of things that maybe you weren't made aware of before, and character traits that are not favorable to you, that's not saying that everyone you should hold to this perfect standard, but goddamn, if I'm sorry if I found out my friend was a pedophile, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not friends with you anymore. I don't need context of, well, you were 20 and she was 15, or you know what, man? I don't care. And that sounds harsh. Context and nuance has become this thing where it is important, but it's also become this overzealous. It's become this oversaturated thing where it's used for every single thing to justify complete bullshit sometimes. It really is. Wow, this is not even a funny podcast anymore. Getting too real for the folks. But context, when I hear people always just throw context and nuance out there. One, there's a time and place, and there's situations where that matter. It's funny how people are so delicate talking about quote unquote court and legal situations, right? They're all of a sudden like, oh, we gotta wait for this, because they already know who they want to be innocent and guilty, and if they want someone to be innocent, they will always say, let's wait for all this to come out. But it's funny how, let's say your best friend dies of murder, right? Let's say he gets murdered. Someone is being charged. Now, there's no video evidence. There's no technical proof yet. It's just suspected that this person murdered that person, right? I know this is a more extreme example, but I think it bears value to the bigger point I'm making. Are you going to sit there and if you're sitting in that courtroom and looking at the person who's being accused of murdering your best friend, right? Are you going to sit there and be like, I'm just going to sit here and play devil's advocate and play the middleman and give this man the benefit of the doubt until all the facts are laid on the table? I'm going to say you're probably not. I'm going to say you're probably going to be very sensitive because emotions and everything are personally attached to the person who's victim of this crime. I'm pretty sure if you have an ounce of belief that that person, you look at that person and there's reason for you to believe they did it, you know what? You're probably not going to be here with everyone. I know everyone has an opinion, but we should just wait for the facts. And if he's innocent, then he's innocent. It's like, nah. If they find him not guilty, you're going to sit there and cry. You're going to banter and you're going to be pissed the fuck off because that means you don't know who, you don't want. Just because someone's found innocent, that doesn't technically mean they didn't do it. It just means there wasn't enough evidence to prove they did do it. So they were either better find the tracks or a terrible investigative team. But just in the court of law, they were technically innocent, which is all we quote unquote can go by. But when you know you want someone to be innocent or know you want someone to be guilty, it's funny how the context and nuance isn't always necessary for you. But Context and nuance, if you want someone innocent, is all of a sudden the same copy and pasted everywhere you look at, right? What was the bigger point? But yeah, it just, I forgot what the bigger fucking point of this. Jesus, here we go again with my dementia. Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I just think people abuse context and nuance to justify a lot of bullshit to themselves on a bigger scale, macro, micro, whatever the fuck you want to say. Context and nuance, and people will say, well, without it, you won't know. It's like, honestly, if you're talking about from a speaking standpoint, right? If you have full video form, context and nuance gets lost more in translation in written form than video form. Because in written form, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but in written form, even if you put in quotations exactly if you mean in a sarcastic tone, blah, 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 whatever the fuck you're talking about, everyone's idea of sarcasm is different, right? And even when you're speaking, sarcasm relays different. But you can always look back at reference. You can read, I did talk about this on the previous pod, but I could have 8 people read the same book and have 6 to 7 different interpretations of the purpose of that book, of the deeper underlying themes, the plot, and what was the author's motivations? Not that it really fucking matters. Like, you know what? The motivations of the author or the person that wrote whatever, or the director, sometimes highly overrated. It's just something to make it sound more sophisticated. It's like, did you enjoy it? Was it entertaining? Yeah, okay. Then why the fuck do you need to know the why and everything? Not everything needs to have a why, but whatever. Why do you keep doing it to me, baby? But if you take a 10-minute clip of someone and a 10-minute segment of someone speaking on a specific issue, and it's just 10 minutes from point A to point B of that situation they're talking about, it's like, if you misinterpret that, I think that's more of a you problem, because if you have lived long enough where you have made, if you were going to be in this business or even watch stuff where you really need to, if you're going to watch videos and watch stuff like that and listen to podcasts, there should be a certain, I don't even say maturity level, but there should be a certain experience level when you've listened to enough people speak about things that even if you don't know a person, there should be a baseline of you understanding of, oh, I can tell when this person, what they're getting at here. Where sometimes in a book or even an article, a lot of things, it can be so blatant in how terrible they are expressing things. Where in speaking form, it's a lot easier to really pick up on the tone and all that shit. But yeah, but when people always have to rely on, when people that are always, quote unquote, the victim blamers of themselves who always say, I'm being taken out of context, people just don't understand me, people always paint me with a broad brush, people don't understand me, people always putting the blame, all this shit. It's like, no, you are consistently bad at explaining your view, and you are just very bad at communicating at what you're trying to fucking say. Once in a while, shit happens. Of course, if someone takes a minute and a half out of a 10-minute segment, of course, yeah, you could take anything. You know, there's a whole running meme of literally this person out of context, and just, and then I grabbed them cheeks, and then, but like, there was a whole 8-minute segment where they're talking about, you know, their baby's like, oh, and I grabbed his cheeks. But without context, it sounds some completely different. But that's supposed to be for humor and memes and shit. On purpose. But when you are consistently always blaming other people for not understanding you, maybe it's because you were really not great at communicating. You're really not great at expounding your point. And if you always have to explain your explanation of the explanation, you probably should refine the original explanation so there's not so many sub-questions. Now, people could break down anything and bitch about it. Fine. At a certain point, you just gotta, you know what, man? If you got a problem with it, go fuck off. I don't care. I said what I said. It is what it is. I don't feel the need to over-explain myself to overqualify and put all these qualifications, put all these subplot points and all this other shit. Like, it doesn't really matter at a certain point. You're just wish-washing. You're just car washing. You're just wiping the windows just to be like, hey, it looks nice outside, even if right behind you is just donkey shitting on your tails. But, donkey, that is crazy. If they didn't make that animated version, think about how crazy it is that Mike Myers was with Cameron Diaz in Shrek. Think about that. That's that's a great thing about animated things, animated movies, animated shows, is that two people that can have no physical chemistry, you look at them, if it was a live action movie, you would never think like, oh, Mike Myers and Cameron Diaz. It's a Wayne's World. Talk about a bad teacher. See, it all comes around. Kind of like JT in his pants and Bad Teacher. She's like, hey, maybe next time, maybe try with the pants off. He's like, I like that. Oh, I bet you would. Senorita, why you rocks your body. Talk about Push Your Love Girl. I love JT's actually a very underrated actor. Genuinely, I like him in like almost every movie he's been in. I don't understand like people say, "Oh, he's not that good." It's like, you know what, man? I think he is. The dude plays a vital, pivotal character in one of the great movies of the past decade, The Social Network. Literally. So, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I guess, don't let that nip slip through the cracks. It's funny, hasn't he performed at Super Bowls since that incident? He's performed at Super Bowls. And I'm the biggest JT fan. But he's performed at Super Bowls. And Janet Jackson's been kind of she was like blackballed for a long time from like big TV gigs and stuff. And it's kind of weird that she gets punished for a wardrobe malfunction when it was on the wardrobe department for one. And if anything, JT's the one that let it slip. I guess you could say he nipped it in the bud for her big stage TV career. That was not the Jackson 5 dream she was thinking about. But yeah, I guess that was all for you. That's what JT said. This is all for you. Janet Jackson has an underrated catalog. There's a couple, her and J-Lo. I guess her love don't cost a thing, just her nips. But yeah, but they make me smile like cheese nips. That's an old recycled joke that I've used plenty of times, but never be ashamed of recycling. But yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird, like, JT's just like, hey, it's alright, JT. He was young, and Janet Jackson like, oh my god, the world's seen your nips, and she's probably like, honestly, it's not, like, I don't like that it happened. She's probably more mad at JT than anyone else. She's like, probably not that big of a deal that people know what her, breast looks like or nothing. But, yeah, talk about a Super Bowl experience. Is that what that VIP pass? Is that really what Is that really what you pay for when you get those down on the field tickets for the Super Bowl halftime performance? Which now every year is just like a trio of like Bruno Mars and Beyonce and Coldplay. And I know that was like literally all in one year, but they've kind of scattered through. They just kind of rotate. I think Bruno Mars has done like 3 times. They've had I think this year, I think I saw they're having Kendrick, which Kendrick hasn't been nowhere in a while. He's like, I'll come do the Super Bowl. They have Kendrick, Lil Wayne, Eminem, I think, and I think maybe Dr. Dre. Lil Wayne may not be a part of it, but Lil Wayne's everywhere. He's always somewhere. He'll probably appear. Maybe Drake will come by. How has Drake never done? How is the biggest artist of the decade not done a Super Bowl experience? Because I guess it's, maybe he does the CFL halftime show. Did they even have like a halftime Canadian football Super Bowl, the Grey Cup? Drake coming out of there. They probably like, hey, we have a whole 20-minute halftime. Typically it's 12. Super Bowl, Grey Cup. But I don't know, maybe Drake's music isn't really a halftime experience worthy. But man, honestly, for a whole halftime, if they just have Drake and Rihanna and Future, bruh. Just like play a Drake, Rihanna, and Future, like collabs and all. Bro, that'd be like the greatest fucking halftime show of the past like decade. But yeah, now like the halftime show is like they'll bring like the Who. I remember they did the Who. They'll probably have like Queen. Well, minus the AIDS. They'll probably have like Kiss sometime soon. Just like anyone that has like half of their band members still alive, and just like, hey, come out here. It's I'm gonna take it and they'll have like some pop rock group that's like very popular that I'm not into. They'll probably have like the Black Keys or like Imagine Dragons or like bands like that where it's like, oh, not really into. They'll have like Mumford and Sons probably. So I don't know. They'll probably have Olivia Rodrigo sometime soon. Surprised Taylor Swift hasn't done a halftime. But yeah. Wow, this is one of the longer pods I've done in a while. Fuck it. We're going to go an hour plus. See where it takes us in the night. Like ships going sailing. And now she says I'm repelling and gelling and aura gelling. And now she telling and selling and killing. And now she say I'm a melon head. Like Anthony Fantano. Jesus Christ. Excuse my mucus, but I need some Mucinex to you. But yeah. Nothing like a good old poke in the gooch. That actually used to be the title of an episode. I forgot which one. Sounds like episode 29-ish, somewhere in that area. Maybe a little bit later. But yeah, maybe 11. I don't know. But yeah. It just, I was thinking about this, and it's not I'm not going to say it's a controversial take, right? But I wonder if really having domesticated animals is actually good. And I don't know the science behind it necessarily. But I wonder if we just didn't have animals, right? Like, what if it was just illegal for us to have domesticated animals? Like dogs, cats, parrots, snakes, and shit. Never understood the pet snake stuff, but hey, to each its own. When it swallows your kid, don't want to hear it. Well, that's why you keep it in a glass case. It's like, okay. Yeah, oh yeah, and I saw a YouTube video. There's actually a fucking snake island, right? where there's no inhabitants, meaning there's no people who live there because it's fucking dangerous. And you know what the craziest part of fucking Snake Island is? Is that there's deadly fucking cockroaches. And when they show the pictures of these big ass motherfuckers, my mom would have a fit if she saw it. But they're venomous. I didn't even know there was such thing as venomous cockroaches. I've only seen little cockroaches you see in apartment buildings, one you see on carpet. By the way, what's the difference between carpet and wall sits? Or, fuck it, I said it wrong. Of a joke I just made up on the spot. I said it wrong. What does carpet and wall sits and usher have in common? I just added the usher part just because. Let it slow burn in you. Well, I just gave it away. They both let it burn. But yeah. But there's a fucking Snake Island where it's nothing but snakes and cockroaches. Why are they called cockroaches? I mean, we could break down cock a roach. What about roaches involves anything with cocks? And I'm not talking about the privates. I mean, I'm assuming maybe are they descendants of chicken? You know, they have cockfighting, you know. It's called hanging out with the boys at Planet Fitness. That got disgusting. Yeah, just nothing's more awkward, by the way, when you're taking a shower at Planet Fitness and someone, it's like, dude, you not see the steam? You not see the water? You not see, like, you could sense when someone's in the fucking shower. And maybe you can't knock because it's just a curtain. But one time I was taking a shower, and it was actually late at night. It was like 11 p.m., 12. And it was after my workout. I had a great workout playing fitness. And I'm just sitting there. And I'm lathering my body up in Axe. You know, your boy's feeling it. You know you're rubbing your legs and cheeks. I didn't have a sponge. So, yeah, I had to use my hands. I don't care. I'll use my hands. You got to get in between. Do what you got to do. And yeah, I was rubbing the back, my lower back. You know, probably a little bit top of the cheek. You know, got to lather the booty. You know, underwear don't underwear themselves. It's kind of ironic they're called underwear, but yet we wear them over and over and over again. And washing in between is just suggested, but it's not required. Depending how clean you keep it down there. Just a thought. But yeah, I was watching. The next thing you know, I just hear, and this dude opens. I turn around like, the fuck? He's like, oh, my bad. He turns around, but then he doesn't close the curtain. And he was already down in his towel, so this dude was already ready. He wasn't like checking to see which shower's open. This dude was already, if he wasn't paying attention, he would just walked in, kind of like a Chandler. You remember that episode with Chandler where he goes into the steam room and he sits on Monica's dad's lap? It was really steamy, which, by the way, sponsored to the Friends television show, wearing on the hat. I would be a terrible sponsor. I would be a terrible podcast or a terrible person to have sponsors on, because I would wait an hour and 3 minutes to actually shout out your sponsor, because I would be too in the mode and all that shit. And, you know, just a friendly reminder, it was really steamy. And it was. I like pretty above average hot water. You know. And look, man, I don't care. He saw me naked. It's fine. It's whatever. And besides, it was hot shower, so, you know, a little elongated growth, if you get what I'm saying. You know, the pubes were lengthened. But yeah, and pull back the curtain. I'm like, hey, man. He's like, my bad. It's like, okay, people walk in. I've been walked in while I'm sitting down in the toilet. Not a big deal. It's happened twice at a Dunkin'. 2 different Dunkins. Ones I don't normally go to. Seems like Dunkins, like 3 out of 5 Dunkins, the men's bathroom has a locking problem. It doesn't lock. You think you locked it, and it just doesn't. I even double check the locks now. I have like this phobia. It's kind of like when I used to set my alarm. I would like set the alarm a minute past the time to make sure that it worked that time. So then I would set it for the next morning when I need to wake up. By the way, I need an alarm clock, which is pretty alarming. But sorry, had to do it. snooze, like you probably already have on this podcast. But yeah, B98.5 Atlanta. Which is kind of weird because static wakes me up more than actual like radio words. But anyways. But yeah. And he just turned to me. And I turned to him. He looked at me. And I looked at him. He looked at me. And I looked at him. He said, I'm trying to. But yeah. And he's left the curtain open. I was like, all right, I'll just go fuck myself and close the curtain. And I was in a groove. You know, like when you're in the shower, post-workout, you're feeling good about yourself. You're in a groove. You're like washing really good. You know, not every wash is a good wash. You could do the same routine every time. It's not the same result. Some days you just wash better. Some days it just feels better. You feel more clean. You feel more refreshed. It just feels better. I don't know how to explain it. Planet Fitness has that good water. But yeah. And I was just like, all right, man. So I get out of the shower. You know, I have my clothes near my locker or whatever in my locker. Until at that time of night, there's not many people there, so I'm not worried about whatever. And I go back over there. And by the way, there's like 6 different fucking showers this dude could have picked. This dude waits for me to get out of my shower. And I noticed he waited in the corner, looking in the mirror, like dabbing his face up with some like Kevin McAllister little ah. But when he finds out that when it comes to his senses that they just left him at home. And I felt like this dude doesn't have a home because I feel like maybe he was home. But I don't know. Maybe he had like a weird thing. You know, like you park, if you go to a place all the time, you like to park in the same spot. You know, maybe you have a certain, anytime you go sit in a place where you go to a lot, you like to sit in the same spot. I get it. And maybe, I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he always liked that shower. Something about it. He's 6 or 7 different options. It was an open field he could have picked from. When he realized I was in that shower, he could have just jumped into 2 showers or the next shower over, which at that point is kind of like a weird thing where if you jump into the next shower, where it's kind of like if you park right by someone when there's plenty of spots around that's actually closer. It's very weird. It's a very weird feeling. So you had all the fucking places parking. You're going to put any possible chance of fuckery to happen. And I just farted. For fucking shit to happen. You know, what if you back up and hit my mirror off? Could have been completely prevented. But no, you want to park right fucking here. Slow as hell. He had all these other spaces. You know what? He could have went over there to the next shower. What he gave it a pass. But whatever. This man waits for me to get out of the shower. And doesn't even wait like a minute after. Right as I'm walking out, I'm walking with my towel on my waist, feeling good about myself. I see this man. I hear footsteps. I'm thinking he's behind me, and he turns and goes into the shower, turns on the thing. Now, I had a theory. I was like, okay, maybe this guy's a cuck for showers, right? By the way, the Planet Fitness like soap, I brought my own body wash and soap, but their soap thing is actually pretty decent for soap that's not supposed to be really that potent. It's actually pretty decent. It's flimsy, it's weak, but it's free. Hey, you get what you pay for. $10. And this man went into the shower and turned on immediately, and I'm thinking like, this dude's a cuck for my shower. Maybe he has a relationship with that shower. I don't know. I don't know what he does in that shower. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say he washes and has a very hands-on approach to his body, like we all do. But what I was more curious about is, does this man have a thing where he likes to have, I guess, the leftovers of what other people just had? Because, you know, like you get that pride of when a girl gets out of a relationship and you're like right there, and you're like, I got this. Because you have that immediate feeling of, I could brighten up her day. You know, the water's already pretty preheated. I don't have to turn on this other faucet and wait for it to heat up for a minute. It's already pretty hot. But the issue is that it'll also probably not be hot as long. Because even though it's hot quicker, typically hot water is like a time lapse. And and it's kind of like a meter, where the longer you let it rest, the more it gets back, right? Trying to think of a comparison for it, but yeah, it's basically like an oven. Like, you turn off the oven's gonna cool down and cool down and cool down and cool down. And then if you start it back up, whatever temperature it's at, it's gonna start raising back up. And then once it's at temperature, I mean, you could keep it on for a while, but you might burn down the house. And typically with water, it just kind of cools off. So if I was in there, I don't know, approximately 9 to 10 minutes, and let's say it's a 13 to 14 minute hot water shelf life, if he just continues it, it probably would have 3 or more minutes of hot water if I would have stayed in there. He probably got 3 minutes of hot water before it started to go cold. And what do? Do you switch to another shower, or do you just deal with the coldness? I don't know. Maybe he's a hot and cold type of guy. Yes, and you're a no. Maybe he just likes having... I don't know, maybe he likes the feeling of the soap I had or that are at the feet of the surface and likes, keeping his feet clean. I don't know. But yeah, that is my shower story. Is it weird if someone has the options of 5 or 6 or 7 different other shower options and they wait for you to get out of yours and just jump right into yours? I don't know. I guess taking Dancing with a Stranger to a whole new level. I wonder if in the girls' locker room, when you have that many options to shower, I wonder if they have those issues. I don't know, maybe they share, even when it's not necessary. Because, just share things. You talk about, I don't know what you talk about. Like, probably talk about, oh my God, you see that Megan Thee Stallion video? She's so inspirational. It's like, yeah. Oh, she's really on that thought shit. Oh, did you see JT on Summer Walker's album? Oh, beautiful. But yeah, it's I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe with the girls, I don't know if they have like the little hose thing, but maybe the hose thing is the one they fight over. Maybe that's why. Yeah, if you renovate and get a house, and one of the main things that your wife is making sure you get with it is the hose, the custom-made one with plenty of speeds, like Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Make sure you get the quality of Speed 2, the one without Keanu Reeves, because if you get the one with the quality of the first Speed movie, it's you might as well hang up your sex life. But yeah, all right. That was episode 98 of the Off and Beat podcast. My battery's about to go dead. That's why I'm abruptly ending it. Hope you enjoyed the shower story. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to suck some titties. And have a great day. Longest pod I've done in fucking like 60 episodes, probably. I don't think I've gone over an hour, like in 40 episodes. I probably have. I certainly haven't gone over an hour 10 in a long time. That's because your boy drinking the ghost. That's the secret sauce. Oh, Jesus. Oh, can I stretch your booty hole?